Welcome back to my videos. This is a painting I just started. My wife bought me a 12 by 10 inch canvas board, and I thought, well, I'll do something on it. I wasn't really thinking it would be anything, to be honest, when I started, but I started with a circle. This is something I do in my sketchbooks a lot of the time, and it's me basically, or someone in a bubble. And it's not a perfect bubble, it's not a perfect circle, it's just a shape, but I'm using burnt umber, I think, just on my brush. I just thought I'd dip in and start drawing something almost like I'm using a pencil, and I decided to fill this in with some cadmium yellow and lemon yellow, and here I'm doing a reverse figure, so I'm doing like the negative, so I'm drawing the outline of the figure instead, and this is what I feel like, like you can be in your own bubble but you're never alone, really. This is how I was feeling at the time, really. I just felt like I was a bit lonely, or I do suffer from anxiety and those sort of issues in my own life, and this is how I see it, really. I always see myself in this bubble, and that's kind of what I started with, really. I think I left this for a few days and came back to it. That's exactly how I was feeling at the time. And you can see here I went and did more with the burnt sienna and burnt umber and created more of the surrounding things that I was seeing, and then I started painting in the sky here with cobalt blue, Prussian blue, crimson and white, but I wasn't really thinking at this point. I was just sort of doing, this is kind of like a sketch. This is kind of how I work in my sketchbooks. I get ideas and I sort of let them organically grow, if you know what I mean. And I have had I had my first panic attack, I think, about 3 years ago, and ended up in hospital for a long time, and not in hospital a long time. I was ill for a long time, sorry, and I had to start some sort of medication to help me with anxiety and worry, basically. And I didn't know how powerful the mind can be, how your mind can literally, if it has a fault, it controls your whole body. And that was really scary for me, because I thought, if you're suffering from depression or whatever, up until this point, I thought, well, just do stuff that makes you happy, get out of it, stop thinking negatively, and just, you'll be fine. But until you actually suffer from it, you don't realise how it can control your whole body and everything. It's very scary. I didn't know what it was. But for a long time in my sketchbooks, sometimes when I feel like I'm alone with God, or feeling that depression, I'd always see myself in this bubble, but I was never alone. And I think that's the thing about being a Christian, is that you're never really alone. God's always with you in that bubble. And I don't know, this is my painting of that, really, of how I felt. And I might do more like this, because I think it's actually more true to how I feel right now, or how I felt in the past. And so it's very vulnerable of me to sort of paint it, but it made sense to me to do this. I'm using the cadmium yellow here. I'm just trying to tell you about the painting as well, but this is kind of like a sketch that I'm sort of colouring in, basically, with different colours, different sections. And I didn't like the way this looked when I first did it. You'll see later on what I did to it in the end. I kind of blitzed it, but here I am, just adding with this round school brush that I always use, from artdiscount.com. Great brushes, using oil paint as normal. I didn't really know what colours this whole painting, I didn't know what the whole thing was going to be at the end. I quite like doing these sort of paintings, because it's very organic. I don't have a set idea, I don't have a plan. I'm just sort of working with the paint and working about, each area of the painting. Even if it's a small painting, you can select an area and say, this is going to be this and this is going to be that, and then you work out how you're going to tie them together. If you're going to have a blue area and you want to match it with a yellow area, obviously you have to have some red to stop it going kind of murky, the colours getting murky. The crimson really helps with blending colours, and this is burnt sienna as well, and a bit of Indian red as well. It's a colour I don't normally use, but I found it in my tray of paint, and so I started adding that to kind of blend this area in together. But yeah, this painting, yellow for me indicates healing. That's why the bubble is full of yellow, because I believe that yellow is very much to do with healing, and even when you feel like you're completely alone and lost, God's always there. He always loves you. He's always taking care of you, and he sees where you're at, and so that's why it's full of yellow as a main colour there in the centre of the painting. But I thought I'd just show you that different angle. So this is where I use a big brush, and this night I just didn't like it. I blitzed the whole thing. I kind of went over the whole painting and blended it all with this big brush. I got these cheap brushes. These are from a DIY shop. They're about 80p or whatever, and they're meant to be thrown away, but I do reuse them. So this bottom corner, I knew I wanted water. I knew I wanted all the elements in this painting. Well, not all of them. I haven't got any fire in there, but I'm using a flat brush here. That's it's kind of like a triangle shaped brush. It really helps with doing lines of waves and water, because you've got a thin side and you've got a thick side, so you can put thick paint on, and then you can turn it around to the side and use it for thin strokes and stuff. You can see what I did in the bottom corner here. I had these old relics in the right hand side, these old ruins, and I thought it was like religion, being blown away and stuff like that, and God really wanting to be in relationship with us. That's what the painting meant to me, about having the waves kind of crashing against the religious buildings. So you can see how foggy it was. So I had to go back and do all the detail again, do the clouds again, do the sky again. But I kind of blended all the colours together, and it looks very washed out, which is definitely, again, how I felt, very foggy. But then you go back and you bring some clarity into the clouds, into the colours that were already there. And I think this is a really nice way of doing a painting, because you're kind of wiping it off and starting again, but you're not completely starting again. You're just bringing back those elements. I mean, the centerpiece always stayed the same. The circle stayed the same, but the clouds and all that. I think I managed to go online and get a photo of some clouds that I really liked and that matched what I was doing. So matched the sky that I already had, but then kind of gave me a bit more clarity about where I was going with it and how I was doing it. So the photo is like a normal landscape, which is straight and flat with the clouds, but I kind of bent it around this bubble, because I wanted everything in this painting to evolve around the centre. This is cobalt blue and white, a little bit of crimson in there as well. So that's how I created that sky colour. But I wanted everything to evolve around this bubble in the middle, because it's kind of like the dreams and thoughts of that person in the middle there, and how their world goes upside down and turns around and crashes and burns and then grows and lives, and all these things. You see the Indian red coming in there, which gives you a nice kind of peachy colour. This is Prussian blue and crimson, going back into and then using that big brush again to blend it. As soon as you do some clouds, it's really good to just soften it with a big brush. That's what I always do. So this is how I did the moon. I used this cup here, which is a little shot glass from Canada. You paint around the edge there with the colour you want, and then you just kind of turn it around and put it on the canvas, and that gives you a good perfect circle. Well, yeah, so that's why I put that circle up in there in the corner. Then I'm going back now with the white, bring out all those crashes of waves. I use the toothbrush trick as well to get all the splashes of water and stuff. And my mouth is getting dry again. Now I'm putting the highlights back on where the figure is reflecting on the steps. There's some steps there, but again, that's part of, I don't know, sometimes religiousness takes us to that relationship place where God really wants us. And that's the finished painting. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope in some way it's helped you if you are suffering from any sort of depression or anything like that. Like, it's God's in there with you. He's in that bubble with you. So I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Another one will be coming soon. Thank you.